Hi Marlene, how are you? Thank you for not rushing me on the correction. Very kind of you to give me a little bit more time. I'm really glad all is okay with you and your office move. It's cold here. We had a little tiny bit of snow, but a lot of places have got a lot more than us. Look after yourself. Keep cozy. So let's have a look at this. One of the major problems that faces today's government is creating enough satisfactory housing for their increasing populations while still trying to protect the environment. Very good question. Very kind of environment-y, kind of IELTS-y, challenging vocab. Let's have a look. Nowadays, demographic experts indicated significant changes in future populations with an enormous growth of the elderly within Western societies. Now, when you've got nowadays, this is a time indicator. You must have present perfect with this, have indicated. Because it's nowadays isn't finished, it's kind of carrying on. So they have indicated significant changes in future populations with an enormous growth of the elderly. You don't need a comma there. You can go within Western societies. To accommodate the increase of citizens and to prevent further pollution at the same time is acknowledged as a challenging issue for every authority. Now, yes, wow, amazing. To accommodate the increase of citizens and to prevent from further pollution at the same time. And why don't we have and to simultaneously, which means at the same time. If I can spell it, probably not. There we go. And to simultaneously prevent from, I would go avoid. You'd have to prevent. Prevent is okay, or avoid, but no, we don't need prevent from. So we don't need the preposition there. So prevent further pollution or avoid further pollution is acknowledged as a challenging issue for every authority. Good, lovely, passive there. So further pollution. So I would take out that because I put in simultaneously as well. To simultaneously prevent or avoid further pollution is acknowledged. And then you don't need that because you only need that if you've got at the same time. I believe responsible government should plan and construct efficient and effective estates, plural, for their retired pensioners. And we'll emphasise this. Wow, super, fantastic, really, really nice start there. Brilliant. A permanently growth of careful. Permanently growth. You can't have a permanently growth. Watch out this. I'll tell you what's wrong here. This is an adverb going with a noun. So you have to have adjective with a noun. Yeah? So a permanent growth in the population. Yeah? Or in people. It would be a growth in, I would say, the number of people. Or people in the world. I think you have to just kind of be a bit more emphatic about what you mean. If you're not going to say population, you have to be a little bit clearer here. Has led, good, to the demand of innovative methods in order to create attractive living units for the folk. We wouldn't say the folk like that. Folk is it's just not the right context. Folk is more informal. You'd have to say more formal citizens. Okay. More innovative methods in order to create living units for citizens. Okay. Whereas younger people mostly choose, pursue, and finance their own housing goals. Watch out. Why is your verb going in here? The accommodation of pensioners and dependent persons is often deemed a key issue. Okay, so I think that's just a little mistake, and I think you'd have spotted that just when you check it carefully. So subject, this is all your lovely big subject, then verb, okay, then object. The accommodation of pensioners and dependent persons is often deemed a key issue. Great. The steady increase needs to be solved by providing more nursing facilities and care homes, which additionally should attract residents and closer relatives. Right. But why are we talking about just old people? Okay, because I got it. Okay, so younger people are okay, but you're focusing on the old people. Okay, I get it. So this sentence here is really important. Due to a significant gap of specialised nursing homes, the Berlin authorised to build homes for aged people on 40% of their unused green areas. Therefore, while the younger generations are independent. I think you have to emphasise that because you've slightly gone off point. Do you see what I mean in terms of, I don't mind because you've argued it really well, and it's a fantastic paragraph. It's a really, really good paragraph here. But because this essay is really everybody, you're deciding to specialise, okay, increasing populations. You've specialised on elderly people, okay, so, but for me here, you need to just come back to this idea about young people are okay, we need to focus on the older people. However, acid rain, greenhouse gas effect, and increased release of carbon dioxide. We just go carbon dioxide. Undoubtedly, the consequence of deforestation. You don't need a comma there. Deforestation. Now, hang on. Okay. Ordered or implemented in order to. So you need a verb before in order to here. So ordered or implemented in order to create living habitats. Global metropolis especially have been registered to expose high amounts of toxins. You can't be registered to expose. You could be registered as containing high amounts of toxins. So just check the translation of that. Registered as containing or metropolis have been exposed to. But we don't want both in the same sentence. It doesn't quite work. To solve such problems, Swedish designers developed a sufficient housing model. Now, we would call this self-sufficient. Sufficient is just enough. Self-sufficient is it looks after itself. Self-sufficient housing model to reduce pollution by integrating certain technologies which have eco-friendly abilities and even offer CO2. Yep. Stockholm is the first city which introduced a whole suburb. Fantastic. Now here I would go have developed because they will develop more. So I wouldn't use the past simple, I'd use the past present perfect. Also in this example back up here, you've got the past simple. So mix it up a bit, but that is absolutely a lovely sentence. Look at that paragraph. Excellent. To conclude, you could put in a conditional. Do you remember how you used to do a lot of your conditionals? Don't forget that. Authorities should provide more financial support who try to overcome. Yeah. Rather than this, rather than otherwise, you could put if bold steps are not taken, comma, is predicted that. So then you could get, rather than just that one, I know it's more words, sorry, but you could get your conditional into there. A natural adjective there. So adjective noun, remember this, just basic grammar. Natural catastrophes. Okay, really, really interesting. Very good essay. Gosh, that's really super. No problems there. But the little things that I have highlighted are quite important. Okay, so just go over them slowly. Make sure you really understand them. Some of them are technical. Some of them are just the word order. But this is good. I mean, wow, this is really, really good. I'm very, very happy for you because, wow, it's such huge progress. And also these are very intelligent arguments that you're writing here. Yes, a little bit over time, obviously, because you've written a long essay and it's very complicated. But I think under the pressure of the exam, you'd probably be a bit faster and you probably could cut a little bit out of that if you had to. Okay, but really, really super work. Okay, so comparative line graph. Average length of stay in hospitals for serious injuries, so public and private. Average length in days, and then the age group. Gosh, lots of information here. The line graph compares the length of hospital stays within the state of Queensland and Sarah's. Yeah, split by private. Okay, now can we paraphrase any of this? Yeah. In this, compares the length of hospital stays within. Okay, state of Queensland, Australia. for dramatic or serious injuries for all right, leave it. It's serious injuries. There isn't really another word, is it? For when serious injuries occurred, split between, okay, you've used clinics, exactly. You could have state and fee paying, I suppose, if you had to. I mean, just be aware of this, paraphrasing, if you can. I appreciate it, it's not obvious. Overall, the registration in public sectors were indicated more often, whereas private operators, okay, very good, you've done that really nicely there, were less chosen. Now, it's not they were less chosen, it's that they stayed for less time. The registration, so I think you have to say the length, the time spent. Sorry. Or the registration time, you need to get this idea of time. Was indicated more often, whereas private hospitals were less chosen. So it's not they were less chosen, obviously they're more expensive, were shorter. Yeah? Were mostly treated in both, whereas probability significantly sank when people were older. Now, when you're saying probability, what do you mean probability? Because it's how long they stayed for. So it's not really how often they were used, is it? It's how long people stayed for in those places. So, well, probably the duration, I think, is the word you want there. Sank significantly. So verb, adverb here, when people were older. Okay. Sorry. Notably, both lines showed a similar pattern in general, with constantly more days for public hospitals than private. Good. Both age groups. So I think again you need to be really specific about his. The length of stay for both groups grew, past tense. Both groups, I wouldn't say not have grown, so grew, it's finished. Grew until the age of 25, approximately. Yeah, good. Well, so just be really clear what the subject of the sentence is here, then you'll be okay in your own mind. Well, public clinics had another higher patients. That's really nice. Well done. Good comparative structure there. That's really good. The age of 65, the figures came closer between pictures, showed a difference of nearly 5 days. Okay. Although the injury rate was more reduced, older patients grew with a low for, yeah. Okay, so we've got, you see, yeah, your assumption here, the injury rate was reduced. We don't know that. We don't know how many injuries there were, because this is just the length of stay you haven't got the number of injuries. So we're just literally looking at here, for this age group, they tended to stay for a shorter amount of time. And this age group, they stayed to stay for a longer time. Maybe the injuries were more serious, but we don't know that, I suppose, do we? Had a high level. Okay, so down here, so I would just question, we don't know that. Yeah? So it's really as the older patients grew. I like that. The older patients grew. Yeah. The shorter their stay was in both establishments. Okay, with a low at 10 and 20 days. Okay, so I think that works. It's more it's a complicated chart because it's kind of going all over the place and it is comparing. I hope that's helpful. I'm not sure I'm being very helpful on that one, but I just think be absolutely clear what we're talking about. It's the length of stay, it's not the frequency of injury. So you've got to make sure in your subject, make sure if you've got a strong subject here, the length of stay, then you're okay, then you're clear. And keep this all in the past tense because yeah, but last year, exactly. So it was in the past. Yeah, sorry, I thought I missed it. Okay. Oh dear. I hope that's helpful. Sorry, I don't sound very coherent. Anyway, I really hope that's helpful. And you are doing amazingly. You really are. What about a map? And what about the process diagram? Just so we don't forget the language for those. That might be quite good. But you're doing really well. Good for you.